Good morning, everyone, and how are you guys? Yep, there was a gap in the previous podcast, almost like 2 or 3 weeks back. Uh, was looking for what topic to discuss on, and then I got a request to talk about spirituality. Not sure why people think that I have expertise in that. I do not. So I took my own time to look around, find out more details. Some of them I have taken out from my experiences, and opinions, as usual, are completely mine. Let's dive into the topic spirituality. Yeah. So, most of it, what I will say, if at all it relates to religion, it would be for Hinduism, because while I know a thing or two about other religions, I should speak about mine. Uh, what is spirituality? Spirituality, from where I look at it, is when you start introspecting deeper questions, when you are done with surface level and then you want to dig deeper. That's, I believe, is the start towards spirituality. Now, it's not 100% surrendering yourself to God, or uh, trying to find answers in religion. May not be not true for everyone. And however, I'm also at many times in my life tried to understand religion. After a point it stops, because there are some assumptions that you have to take, which do not have a reasoning, but somewhere it gives me a direction and a purpose, so I'm completely fine with that. And unlike what most people think, majority of us, when we start discovering or looking out about spirituality or trying to become more spiritual, it has always been in a time when we are in a good state, right? Most of the time when we were going through a lower phase in life, we never questioned the meaning of life. It was difficulty, it was that problem that we had to solve at that point of time. Yeah, we connected to God, but more in a conversation, requesting Him to pull us out of that difficult situation into a normal life again. So it's always has been that when I was good, comfortable, status quo, is when I started asking those difficult questions for me, as to uh, what is life, what is beyond all the daily hustles, whatever we do, right? And sometimes it started with a very basic question of who am I, right? uh, that we will if you start introspecting, and the good time would be late in the night before you sleep, or early in the morning when you wake up, when you introspect about this. uh, we have a name, designation, relationships, all that, but is that what I am? Is that who I am? If my name would not have been Shiva, or it would have been Ashok, would that change who I am? So my name is not me. Um, I have seen the ebbs and flows of my own wealth situation, so that does not define me, right? So the character of how I behave with who changes from person to person, situation to situation. That is again not me, right? So if I were to be good looking and suddenly I go through an accident and get a deformed, does that change anything? May not be me, right? So it's that introspection when you slowly start digging deeper, asking questions about who you are, right? And then the lead up question comes is, what is the purpose of life, right? What is the purpose of my life? When I was a kid, just making my parents proud through my education, that was my purpose. The purpose keeps changing when, as and when I grow up. right? So, what is the purpose? That is the lead up question of whatever we are doing. And then, after all this, sometimes we step back and we believe that, is mortality the reason why we are so restless about trying to look for purpose? Because no matter what we do, how much we achieve, the moment we are dead, all that goes into nothingness. There are your friends, there are your relationship, the best of your friends, the best of your relations might remember you once in a while. If you have been an extremely great person, then yeah, maybe once a year people will remember you after a decade, and then after a generation you are forgotten, right? As one of the podcasts I was listening to, he was saying, Steve Jobs have done such excellent job, but he died when he was 30, and I am 48, so who wins, right? So, but is getting more time on this planet considered an achievement or a win, right? So those are the questions that come to the mind, right? And had we not been mortals and we had immortality, as in, I mean, you will die if you are murdered or face an accident, but otherwise you will not have old age, you will not have um, uh, any deformity, and you will always be young. Would that change the perspective of life? Would that mean people will stop pursuing spirituality? I would want to believe that, it's this probing nature of humans that have developed us and brought us to where we are compared to other species, uh, more cognizant, more able to think through, more questioning what more we can do, right? So, spirituality is to that part responsible for advancement of human beings as a race, right? Uh, most of it, because we are mortals, and as much as the history is documented, there are some questions still left unanswered. And then when you see documentaries like dinosaurs, everything, they lived for millions of years and suddenly they disappeared. So if this is what is all about, origin, evolution, and extinction, it doesn't even make sense of this existence, right? So it's about trying to understand what is the end goal, uh, and more importantly for me is how did it all start, right? Even imagine that, before humans there were dinosaurs, before that there could be some organisms, before that there was a universe, before that there was a big bang. So there would have been somebody who pressed the button to start a big bang. What was the cause of that? Who was that? And how did he come into being? Where is that zero from which everything started, or negative infinity if you want to take it like that, right? So curious questions, but does that mean that it changes the way I respond to life or make my goals? No. I mean, it's just curiosity. It would be good to know, right? Through the limited knowledge that we have about science and how things that happen in the world, we don't even know how the stock market will behave tomorrow, or who will be the major movers and shakers, right? We take decisions based on our best guess, and sometimes the dice rolls in our favor, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. So we have tried to answer all the questions. Sorry, there was a pause. My phone is behaving quite weirdly. Yeah, so these are all the questions, and everyone finds the answers himself, and everybody's answer is different, right? But one thing we really need to be careful in defining what spirituality is not, right? As I said in the beginning, spirituality, again, the phone is all over the place, man. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, spirituality is not about running away from life, running away from challenges. No, it's not. Because when you are in your difficult times, you hardly bend towards spirituality. Yes, you go to God, you have a conversation with Him, and you say, "Get me out of this shit." But outside of that, no, that's not the spirituality, right? So, and if somebody is into spirituality or trying or in that process of discovering himself or discovering the process, it does not mean that he is finding excuses to run away from life, right? So let's just be very clear that that's not what it is. There is a general tendency, there is a general flow, normal features of when a person tries to delve into spirituality, which makes his friends and relatives feel that he's gone crazy, right? But by no means anybody who is inclined towards spirituality is an escapist or who's running coward who runs away from life, right? Uh, Let me put it in a video game analogy or even career. Maybe we'll take the video game first, right? So, any game that you start initially, the first few levels are easier to make you understand what the game is all about, what controls you have, what features it has, and then in between it starts getting difficult. You spend most of your time in crossing the 10 to 12 levels that you are, and then after a point it starts becoming predictable. uh, you know there is no end to a video game outside of 3 or 4 games that I have played, right? It starts becoming predictable, and then that's where the gamer starts questioning what's next, what's more interesting. I believe somewhere spirituality is that point when we are when we have started reading life better. We know there is a challenge, we work very hard, we overcome that challenge, we move on. Yeah, some people are stuck in that eternal rat race of trying to get more, put more hard work, get more, but some people realize that it's a loop, right? Stakes keep getting bigger, but it's a loop. There is a reward at the end if you achieve it, there is a slight penalty if you do not, but then the life moves on always, right? Another analogy what I would like to bring is somebody who's more senior to you always have a broader perspective than what you have at your level, right? So I started my career as a fresher when I were doing was doing mistakes, sometimes killing the bugs, sometimes creating the bugs. I really didn't understand what was the purpose of the modules that I was building, but my module lead would say that trust me, move on, you're doing right. 3 4 years down the line, I became module lead. I now have a better perspective of what those modules achieve, and then I guided my software engineers into that. Then I became product lead, so on so forth. Right now I understand the repercussions, the fruits of what I do, and how does it make a difference to the organization. I really believe that all organizations should invest time in the in all the employees across all the levels, trying to explain them how do they impact the outcome of what company is trying to achieve, and in a very very simple word try to explain them what the vision of the company is, right? So in the current company that I work, right? So it's been continuously reinforced that there will be milestones that we want to achieve, but as a digital bank we want to leave a legacy in Singapore and maybe in other regions down the line. When we are all retired, when we look back, we should be extremely proud of what we have given to the society in form of this digital bank, right? When people talk about bank, not knowing that I had worked for it, when they talk good things about it, I should feel happy, right? So that is the kind of legacy that we want to leave behind. Yes, there are dollars, there are milestones, there are projects. Sometimes we extend, sometimes we meet it, sometimes we exhibit it. All that will happen, but those are checkpoints, those are milestones The end goal is to leave a legacy in the industry of banking as well as in Singapore, making everybody's life easier, more exciting, and more rewarding. Right? So that's how spirituality is also, right. uh, I will take the last 5 minutes in explaining what has been my experiences when I started spirituality and how does it grow. Is it always on 24 by 7, or what is the next thing I'm trying to do? Yeah. One thing when you and everybody has their own starting point, right? You cannot force spirituality into your life just because it is in fashion these days, right? Uh, yeah, it is a catchword. People are catching up to it, but you will start honestly when that switch flips here or here, right? So, what I can tell you is the first step towards spirituality is not in the noise, it's in the silence, right? Silence is the first S of spirituality. You need silence, you need attention, you need focus, you need to look inward, right? Whenever you feel that you want to become spiritual, quick acid test is try for one day without mobile phone. Yes, you will get calls, you will get messages, just attend to that. But promise yourself that you will not message anybody, you will not call anybody. You will respond if they want, but you will respond only to the point what they are asking. You will not, start creating plans and get yourself busy again in the daily mundane life, right? So one day without phone, no reels, no shorts, no LinkedIn, uh, no YouTube, no Netflix, no OTT, no TV, no movies, right? Uh, Look inwards, focus inwards, and see how long can you stay that way. That is the best test. I mean, every time I think that I really want to get into spirituality, that is the first test I do, and I fail miserably. So there have been times where I was able to stay without phone for 6 hours, 7 hours, but after that the boredom creeps up, and then I just say, okay, let me start from tomorrow, right? There will be enough restlessness, enough, right? But it is this attention deficit, it is this restlessness, those are our blockers. Once you cross that, that's when the peace program starts, right? You advance that level 1 and then that level 2, right? And then you move into that territory. That territory is where the peace lies, right? uh, I am again trying to get into spirituality, and again, it's not religion. Spirituality is parallel path of religion, right? Hinduism has four very distinct ways how you can realize God, and spirituality is one of them. So, what are the other three? Maybe it's for some other video, but spirituality, I'm trying to start again from 1st June. So if anybody of you guys are interested, thinking through, want to connect, do it together, reach out to me. And till 1st June, keep trying to stay away from mobile phone and use it only for the purpose of why telephone was invented long back, just to stay in touch, right? Uh, and the biggest diversion, of course, is ChatGPT or your AI bots. And you keep on asking mindless questions, and it's a rabbit hole. You never come out of it. So anyway, try this small thing. Uh, all the very best to those who are already in the path of spirituality. Maybe I will do a part 2 of it, maybe 2 to 3 months down the line, when I believe that I have advanced well in spirituality. And as I said, I'm starting on June 1st. I have already started, trying to look inwards, withdrawing from externals. It will take some time. It would not gonna happen overnight. So, if you are interested, reach out to me. Let's do it together. Uh, it helps when you do it in a group. Uh, the motivation and the intention keeps on going up and down. So if there are two or more people doing together at one point of time, one of them is still highly motivated, that is infectious and passes to others. That's the reason why I wanted to do in a group. Otherwise, completely fine. If you want to do it in solitude, trying to find your own answers, all the very best. Please feedback. Let me know if you are in an advanced stage of spirituality. I will take you as my guide and follow your instructions as well. Till we meet next time, take care. Love you all.